All right. Welcome back, everybody. And it's Sunday Night Live.
That it is.
Live from the shack. It's Sunday Night Live. I know ain't nobody ever watched Saturday Night Live back in the day, did they?
Yeah, you get yourself a copyright strike.
You think just on the phrase? I mean, did I do that good of a job of impersonating it? I mean,
well, you've seen what they do with music, royalty-free music, and throw some shouting over it and claim copyrights.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, welcome everybody. Here at the shack, everything is well, but Steve needs to let you guys know in the event that he suddenly jumps up and runs away, he has some drama up there as well.
Well, I don't know, but hopefully not drama. But yeah, there is a line of storms from southern Nebraska on up to central Minnesota, just moving its way east, and they're hitting pretty hard in certain areas. So I'm kind of prepped down here in case I gotta take cover and grab the cats and take cover.
Well, I mean,
hopefully the wife and kids come with
I was going to say maybe we check in on the wife and kids in the process too.
Hey, they're all adults, man. It's free for all.
He said every person for themselves.
Yeah. No. Hopefully it won't. But yeah, there's I don't know. I mean, their weather has been a little more extreme lately, and but it also seems like the forecasts get a little sensationalized. So try to just be prepared. And it's kind of like if I go on a road trip, I make sure I bring tools to change a tire, a raincoat, all that stuff, because if I have it, I won't need it. If I don't bring it, it's gonna happen. So
yeah, I watched something the other day. They were talking about this year, the El Nino or El Nino or El Nina or whatever they call it now. They're saying that it's supposed to be like the worst one in 150 years.
Yep.
Because cycles happen, and I guess it's just that time again. I'm hoping maybe that means that we'll be like the benefactor of like some cooler weather and less hurricanes, but that's usually not the case.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, a lot of times those times they'll push warmer weather somewhere, and it also kind of depends on that jet stream and such. But
yeah,
I don't know. We've gone from, I think he was in a couple of weeks ago, I still had the heater on the shop, and now we've been running the air, and I've been shopping mini splits and such again, which I'll drag my feet on and never get done.
Yeah, well, I think it was 85 here today. Don't quote me on that, but it felt like 85. Yeah, 86 was the high today.
We were in the 90s a couple of days ago, and then hit about 80, 81 today. So
yeah,
but it's been really dry, and I hope everybody up in northern Minnesota. I know we got a few viewers up there. There's a lot of wildfires going up there, including one of my favorite spots to go. I'm hoping it doesn't. They get it under control and doesn't burn out some of my favorite spots up there. So we'll see.
Cool. Randall has noticed our background. Yeah, I took a picture of a bag that I've been collecting because I plan on trying to do something cool with it. I don't know if I'm going to like pour it in epoxy or I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I've got it, and I've got some little tiny pieces of stuff that has been cut with a laser, like some little scraps. And I'm thinking about doing like just mixing it all up in a pot, like a soup, and then pouring some epoxy in there with it and just seeing what it comes out to be. You know what I mean? Just like make like it'd be a cool background for pictures or something, if I had like a piece of clear epoxy with like these little pieces of laser cut acrylic and laser pieces of laser cut wood and some 3D print poop. I think it would be a cool, like modern day art piece.
Well, you get it deep enough, you can then carve a bowl out of it, throw it on the lathe, polish it up,
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. I don't have a lathe in the shop right now. I loaned it out.
I still have my small one, but it's been collecting a lot of dust. I look at it every so often and go, every so often. I've actually even used it for sanding round, like when I've done. Oh, do I have one here? Yeah, hold on. I've got one right up here. These, I really need to do a video on this one. So it's a little CNC cut bowl.
Well, that's very similar to my 3D printed one.
So I've sometimes throw these on the bowl chuck just to get a nice polish and sand on them. As a matter of fact, knocking stuff over. So like here's a finished and engraved one.
Ooh, what you got in there? That looks like something you'd find at the okay. Make sure. That looks like something you'd find on the
But anyway, get this back there without knocking everything over.
Yeah, I've been practicing doing my cylinders with threads and then doing the knurling. And so I printed a few of these and I was like, you know what? These actually would be pretty handy to put little small things in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a little carried away and I printed a few of them, like assorted colors.
Missing some colors there.
So this one actually glows in the dark. You can't tell it right now, but it actually does.
Yeah. I think I've got some glow in the dark filament, but it's more like that white, typical white color.
Yeah, that's some bamboo glow. I bought it back when I first got the A1, and that was before I knew there was, necessary criteria before you could use it. I thought
Sure.
like as long as I had a 3D printer, I could use it, because you don't think that deep into it. And then when I got it here and started learning a little more about it, I'm like, I can't print that in my A1 without a hardened nozzle. And so I was like, oh, well. And so I just set it to the side. And this is legitimately my first test of it because until I got the P2S, I didn't have a machine with a hardened nozzle that I could use it with. And so it's just been sitting here.
I mean, you could have got a hardened nozzle for the A1.
I could have, but it was like $50 for a nozzle. And I'm like,
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, the last time I looked for the A1 nozzle, it was either 30 something or 50 something. It may be 50 something for a spare one for the P2S because I looked again the other day. But yeah, those nozzles aren't cheap.
Well, it kind of depends on if you get the whole pre. I know. God, which one was it? There are ones where you can get just the nozzle and you got to like rebuild the hot end part, or there's the swappable ones. But I didn't think they were that expensive.
Let's see. Well, that one's showing $15 on, but this is not Bamboo's website though. 0.2 millimeter hot end Bamboo's website. Yeah, it's only showing $11. Maybe I was looking at the wrong one last time.
Yeah, the 0.2 stainless steel, $12.99.
Oh, wait a minute, hardened. Got to go to hardened.
Oh yeah, hardened steel. Sorry, the 0.4.
0.4 hardened.
It's actually cheaper, $11.
$13. I don't know, but I remember looking and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep running the one I'm running because I've got 2 or 3 extra nozzles or hot ends or whatever for it, but they're all like the same size or similar. So, but yeah, now I did price some for the P2S the other day, and I decided to hold off on them for a little while because
if they're like
they're 30% off right now, they're still not cheap. Those are cheap. The hardened one for the P2S, where's it at? High flow, standard. They got a tungsten carbide nozzle. Jeez. Those are $60. Okay, maybe that's what I was looking at. But anyway, I'm just using the stock P2S one right now because everything I read said it comes with standard with a hardened nozzle. So.
Yeah, if it's like the P1S, I don't know if it is or not, but you can get just the hot end or you can get the complete hot end. And if you get the hot end, you got some extra assembly to do. But it is cheaper. It's like $30 some for the complete one. I think that has like the fan and everything on it. So yeah. Little gotchas on some of their models, but still fairly easy. But that being said, I mean, I've swapped out nozzles on the Flash Forge and the Anycubic, and they're fairly simple and fairly inexpensive. I think I got some aftermarket ones for the Anycubic just on Amazon. But well,
actually, according to this, the P2S, they don't really offer a non-hardened nozzle for it. It looks like everything is either hardened or carbide. So, but no, there's a stainless steel, $20.99.
Cool.
But yeah, I plan to get some eventually. But I like this past week I ordered, which Bamboo's got me messed up right now. My half my order did not ship. Like I ordered some filament. I ordered a couple of sticks of their glue just because I mean I was ordering filament anyway. I'm like throw a couple of things of it in there. And I ordered some cool plates to use to get the smoother finish because I've been using on my A1. I've been using my smooth PEI plate like for stuff like this, and I like that smooth finish on certain things. And so I was like, what, I'm gonna get these Super Tack build plates for my P2S. That way, when I'm printing, I can just take the build plate off, set it over to the side, and then slap another one on there and go back to printing. And they shipped everything except for the build plates, like 3 build plates, just MIA from my order, but they billed me for it. And so I emailed them and I'm like, hey, look, my order, like I got half of it. When I first got it, I thought maybe there was like, two separate packages, but come find out they had it listed as all the items were in that one tracking number and they weren't. And so I'm waiting to hear back from them. I filed a ticket, called them and all this kind of stuff. And I'm waiting to hear back. And right now I still do not have my build plates and I haven't got an email back since the last email that said, you'll hear back from us. So it's basically don't call us, we'll call you type thing.
I think for build plates, those are ones I'll go aftermarket.
Yeah,
get like the Big Q or Cryo Grip or even some of the generic PEI plates.
Well, I like with the P2S because I tried using my A1 build plates, but it says that they don't have the QR code, and so I was like, you know what, just to stay in their ecosystem, I'm going to order me some smooth plates that are made for the P2. Yeah. That way they'll work flawlessly. So I don't mind paying a little extra for stuff as long as it's, especially if it makes it to where I don't have to select it from a drop down or, skip a warning or something like that. Sometimes I'll just go ahead and pay for it. But yes, I'm waiting to hear back from them because they have billed me for it, but they have not received them yet. So we'll see. But yeah, playing with that this week a lot. I've been doing lots of 3D printing this week. Of course, I've been doing lots of stove covers and other stuff as well. Where's my other camera? I don't have it up right now. But there's a whole bunch of I got 8 stove covers over there. It's going to be delivered tomorrow. And I've got this new project that I'm working on right here. These are my little prototypes for a local business that does like gift boxes for dad, like custom gift boxes where they do like a hat, a t-shirt, stuff like that. And you can purchase like a bundle for Father's Day or whatever. They reached out and were asking me about the hat, like a little hat boxes. And so they sent me a picture of what it looked like. And so I have designed one and designed it to be cut with some of the little pieces that are left over from my stove covers, because there's always, like every stove cover I make, I have a piece that's like 12 inches wide by 24 inches long of scrap, and I will keep the stuff and stack it until I can't stack it no more, and then I just have to give it away or burn it. And I give away a bunch of it, but I also have a bunch of it. So by doing this project out of those pieces of material, I can like minimize my cost, because this is material that I'm going to either wind up giving away or throwing away. So it kind of helps me be able to give them a little bit better price, since it's a business to business thing. I can give them a little better price since this is technically material that's already paid for. So that's what I've been working on. And it's a CNC file. So by it being a CNC file, literally all I have to do is 4 lines of glue, and then I've got it made to where at the ends of the box right here, I leave like a little 4mm veneer, more or less, to kind of hide all of the joints from the front. So I got it to where it leaves that veneer right there, but it creates a pocket in there for the side panel to go into. And then I'm shooting I'm shooting the staples in from the side here, so that I only have that one visible little seam on the side. So pretty simple little build, but it's pretty rigid too, because this is 3/4 inch pine. So So far, I think that it works out pretty good. I'm gonna take these prototypes by there from the look at and see if I can get the job. So that's what I'm trying to do now. Because if I can, if they can order them and then like maybe have like 3 or 4 different logos that goes on here or sayings or whatever, and then they can order whatever because they do T-shirts and stuff. So they could, in essence, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll build their own design and send it to me and go, hey, we want 5 with this on it, 5 with this on it, and 5 with this on it. And I just take their PNG, burn it to it, and be done with it. And if I do the burn before I put them together, it makes it even that much easier. But I did the one that I engraved on the G-Wiki the other day, and I can do them on it relatively quick because that's a 40-watt blue. So. And this is it after you stain it. If you wanted it stained, you can see my little joint, the way my joinery goes right there with those little overlaps. So I like it. It worked out pretty good. Now I can just sell a bunch of them. If not, I'm gonna probably put the file on Etsy anyway because it's a cool little small CNC project too. Because you don't have to have a big CNC to do that. Of course, you could probably. I mean, it wouldn't take much with a dado stack and a good table saw to knock them out, but it's just easier for me if I can get the robot to cut them out while I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
But that's about all I got going on right here right now, other than my tags for my vehicles. I've been dressing those up a little bit today. Made me a 3D print file for like tag borders. That was fun.
Well, I've been trying to. I've had a busy week. We had commencement, end of semester. We had some retirement parties and such. So work has kept me busy during the day and in the evening. But I did get a couple of machines going finally. So ComMarker had sent a new software, a new version of their software to load, as well as a new correction file for their lens. And so I got that fired up the other night and was able to get some pretty consistent results at different sizes. I mean, as you get bigger, really with any Galvo, you start losing accuracy towards the edges and such. But starting at 25 millimeter on up to about 100 millimeter, I was getting fairly consistent and accurate. There's still a little variation. And the funny thing is they sent a bunch of core files as far as like the relation to your focal distance. They said, just pick the one that matches your laser in the manual. And they were going up by 2s. And of course mine was odd, it was like 273. So I was like playing with 272 and 274, but it's within, I'm considering you're not going to do a lot of cutting with this, even though you can cut with a UV laser on some materials. I'm not going to be doing something with interlocking parts. So it's within a margin of error that I would find okay for, even a cut. Yeah, even like a simple cut and engrave. So I'll be able to start moving forward with that one. Need to, get it all queued up and get some material tests on. I do kind of want to compare it to. I can't compare it to the 5-watt module because we sent those back, but I'll be able to run the Omni One, maybe doing some comparisons on either speed and or, cut speed on material, or maybe speed of engraving on certain things, and see if we can correlate some difference on why you might want to jump from a 5-watt to a 12. So I got that one running, but like I say, just got it kind of set up and confirmed that it's functional. And then the IKEA Master, again, that had some beta software, so I had to make sure I was running the right version of it that they sent, and doing some testing with that. Still trying to get the camera calibrated right in both software, and I think I need to get a different pattern than what they sent. Both softwares, I think, have a version you can print out, but was able to get it up and running and even working in Lightburn other than the camera, and I need to check on like the macros for focus and such, but was able to do a quick test cut in Lightburn and a couple of quick engraving cuts as well. So got those set up and going.
Cool.
All right, hold on a second. We may have a tornado warning here or something.
All right. Spark 33 is asking, is UV Engraver going to put diode engraver out? And I don't think so. Not entirely. As far as a UV is a very unique machine. They're very versatile, but there are things that a UV can't do. One of those things is like with this engrave. I did nothing to this engrave. This engrave is on pine, and it was done with a 40-watt blue galvo. And so that's a dark brown engrave that I got on this pine. If I did the same exact engrave with the UV, it would have the same depth. It would look probably even more clear as far as the resolution. You really can't go by resolution on pine because it's very coarse wood anyway. But the thing that you wouldn't have is you would not have this brown, not as brown. You can defocus the UV and you can get a little bit of brown, but you're not going to get as easily going to get this nice bronze brown color on there. It's just not going to happen. So with a UV, yes, it's a good laser to use. I go to a UV a lot lately. But at the same time, there are things that blue diodes still do better. And one of those is charring wood. Like a Galvo blue is going to char wood better than a Galvo UV. A CO2, it doesn't do a lot of charring. It's a more efficient burn, and it's going to be more of you can get a little bit of a light brown to a yellow burn, but it's not going to give you that dark color. So I think a blue diode in the world of engraving still has its place. And of course, if you're talking about an open, like a XY gantry machine, blue diodes cut really good. Now they smoke a lot, they create a lot of char, but they do actually cut really good. So I don't think UV is going to put them away. I think UV is just one more tool in a toolbox, but they are good to have. Oh, my printer's talking to me. Let me go unload that. So I just got through printing this. I'm gonna let it sit over here and cool. But yeah, that's my license plate thing that I designed today. I'll show it to you in a second. Let me set this over here and let it cool. So what I ended up doing was I have designed myself that license plate holder, and I'll show you the screen here. And so that's what it looks like. It's two pieces. So if you look real close, you can actually see the seam right there. But until I get a bigger bedded machine, that's what I got. You got a little line right there, and a line right there. And I did several different designs. This one is just blank. It doesn't have anything written on it. But then I realized that if I'm not going to put any text on there, I need to just make a thin, like a border. And so I ended up rebuilding that one and redesigning it. And I made it to where it's just a border to kind of, instead of it being like a tag stuck on the back of your car, it just adds a border because Brandy didn't want anything on hers that said, anything. And then I did this one, and this is the one that's on my truck. And what I did with this is I printed it out of black PETG because I didn't have any like metallic or silver PETG. And then I took some Rust-Oleum 2X and I painted it after I had snapped it together. And then I took the Eufy and this right here is printed on the Eufy with black. So I wound up using the 3D printer and the Eufy on that one. But the other ones are, like I said, just, that's what the car looked like without anything. And then where's the one with just a trim? That's what it ended up looking like. And if you look too, this little piece right here, this is my hitch covers that I designed the other day to cover up the trailer hitch, because this is my wife's car and she's never going to use the trailer hitch. But now on my truck, the hitch cover is a 2-color 3D print that I designed that snaps up in there and has the logo on it. So those are some of the things that I've been playing around with for the past week or so, just making random things around the house and having some fun with it. So there, what y'all think about that? South Georgia Laser 3D Print says Fusion 360 makes my head hurt. The Fusion 360 is very intimidating when you first go into it. And the way that I would recommend for you is learn how to do basic stuff. Like start out with really, really basic stuff and then add abilities and add skills as you go. That way you get those small wins. Like, oh, wow, I made a 2-inch to a 4-inch adapter. And then next week, get a little more complex, and just get those small wins to keep your motivation. Don't try to go in and do a really big project first time out because it's tough. So. Trying to go through these comments right quick. Steve's over there checking his weather right now. Aldrich, I haven't heard anything from Longer lately. The last thing I heard was it was around Thanksgiving. Longer was trying to get me to come to China. And of course, it was right before Thanksgiving and the holidays. And they were like, want me to come over there and look at the UV printer or whatever. And I told them I couldn't. So then they wanted to send people to the shop here. And I told them that wasn't a good idea. And they had mentioned they wanted me to do a video about their UV printer just based on like their press release or whatever. And I told them I don't like doing those because to me that's just a sales pitch. I know there's people that do them. That's fine. That's cool. Everybody has their own little guidelines and rules that they go by. Me personally, I'm not your hype guy. If you want to send me one, let me play with it. If it's cool, you'll get a little, press out of me. If it's not, then you won't get a whole lot. So I don't know. I haven't heard lately. I know X-Tool still saying that they're pushing theirs out, but I haven't heard from anybody except for Eufy. And I'll be honest with you, at this point, the Eufy's doing everything I need it to. So I don't know. I'm not going to say they couldn't talk me into trying one, but I really like the Eufy's handling my workload so far. So we'll see. Still there? Still got power? Or are we on emergency backup?
Well, for now, but we have that's not going to come through. The blob is kind of heading our way. They warn based on county. Well, not our county warns on the whole county, and it's down in the southwest part, and it's heading northeast. So
watch this right here.
So I may still jump off in a hurry.
I love this. I just dried my filament the other day, and so I get PETG clean pops every time. Since I did my last drying cycle, I haven't had to use the scraper yet, even for the little tag here, the little tag part. Like it just pops right off. So I was starting to get frustrated. But then I noticed that my filament was at like 15% humidity. And so where these two pieces go together, I got like these little tabs, these little bumps right there, the little tab things. Mm-hmm. And then what I did is I created this, and then I set this as a tool in Fusion and basically used it to subtract from this piece. And so it like snaps together. You can, if you really want to, you can put a little super glue in there when you snap it together and clamp it for a minute. But for the most part, I've been having good luck with them staying together without it at this point. I see Valley Forge in there commenting. What do you say? He's doing some 3D printing. Is that what I heard? Saw Eric say.
Sounds like maybe he's been in communication with Longer as well. So maybe he'll see something along their lines of their UV printer.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him lately, and like I said, I don't reach out. So if they don't reach out to me, I don't hear from them. And here lately, I'll be honest with you, I've been just trying to do project stuff. I'm really not wanting to lean heavy into reviews if I can help it. Not that I'll won't do any, but I'm just not out actively looking for them right now.
David Allen's asking, what laser do y'all recommend for cutting clear acrylic that won't break the bank? If that's your primary goal, you got more options. When you get into things like needing chuck rotaries, then it gets a little more muddied. You can go as light as the if you just have smaller acrylic blanks, the Monport Reno series will do flat sheets like 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch acrylic pretty well. I did a video showing cutting both those on the Reno 45. The Omtech Polar Light's been really good for me as far as kind of all around flat sheet CO2. But I've gotten it to connect to a chuck rotary and make it work, but I can't get it to calibrate correctly. So that's the issue there. Just started testing the IKEA Master, so I can't give you a recommendation on it yet. It's fairly compact, and one of the features that it has that, again, I haven't tested it yet, but is looking promising is, most of these small benchtop CO2 lasers have a built-in air pump that's leaves a bit to be desired. I did a whole upgrade video on the Reno series, but they have a port that has a 12-volt power and an air port that connects to a couple of their air pumps that you've probably seen on some of the diode lasers. So that should give a decent upgrade if you need better cutting out of it. But like I say, I'm still just into testing that one. So yeah, if you're looking for just low, cheapest, not too worried about a large working area, the Reno series has worked really well for me. It works well in Lightburn. It's just when you get into the rotary bit, the chuck style rotary, it does work with they've got a roller style rotary. So it's not that it won't do it, but it's the chuck style that are nice for tumblers that it gives a problem on.
Yeah, that was I love the Reno 45. If you're just cutting sheet goods with it or just doing engraving on wood and stuff like that, it's great. The little semi-automatic focus thing that they got going on, at first I thought it was a little gimmicky, but it's actually really effective and quite simple. So I like the Reno 45, but if you're going to do tumblers, you're going to need a new controller. Because like Steve said, you can use a roller, but you cannot use a chuck. And in my opinion, a chuck's the way to go. So
yeah. I've even back on we talked about it last week. The original CO2 I had ended up with a chuck style rotary.
So there's Eric right there. Welcome back, sir. He disappears for a while at a time. Mark should have got a CNC question. Says, I've been coming up to speed with the Vectric box gadget with 0.000 tolerance, getting about 0.004 gap. Final pass of the profile cut is on dimension. Prior cuts are small. Huh? I may be overthinking this. But final pass of the cut is on dimension. Prior cuts are small. I don't know what you mean by on dimension and small. Yeah, I'm missing the point unless Steve can pick it up.
So when fitting two pieces together, you do want to adjust your tolerance between the two fit parts, and unfortunately, it's a little bit per bit in material to kind of find that perfect setting. I have not played with their box gadget, so I can't necessarily help you there, but you may need to widen the tolerance a little bit there, depending on your material, because anytime you're cutting wood or milling out wood, you are relieving stresses, and that can cause it to move and expand or retract a little bit based on where the stresses were. And so that's where, unless you have a very, very consistent material, it's going to take a little bit of playing. The more figured it gets, I should say. So I'd have to go back and look at some of these files to see where I ended up with my tolerance, but I was just manually doing the offset on the.
I was fixing to say, anytime I'm doing something like that, yeah, I'll usually run a couple of like I don't do a whole lot of stuff with the CNC to where I'm fitting two parts together per se, like not to where it's got to be that tight down to 4. What is that? 4 thousandths? No, 0.004. That's I don't know. I said, you got me. I haven't played with the box generator either. I got to get this. Once I get this to snap together, which I might lay it down to do it. That's actually the part. Once it goes, this one snaps together easily because it's just one. This top part doesn't snap too easy. Get over here on the table.
Now, Mark, it's interesting if you're getting by with a zero tolerance. I want to say I've been anywhere from 5 thou on up to even up almost to twice that. But I like I say, I'd have to go back and look at some of my files to see what they were. It's also good to if you may want to check the diameter of your bits and mic them for their actual dimensions, because that'll have a difference as well. Instead of cutting a pure 1/4 inch, it might be a few thou off itself, and it might be adding that tolerance in for you.
It could even be your tram on your machine. If that bit going at an angle a little bit, that could be like if it's starting out like the tolerances are okay, but then as the final pass, like its own dimension, or like I'm guessing he's saying that the final pass, it pulls it into the dimension. But I mean, if that bit's not perfectly straight up and down, if your tram's off just a little bit, that's going to cause a variation. And another thing too is like in your tool path, you could have like a last pass offset set on there, which is something that I do when I'm doing these. When I'm doing these, I do like a last pass offset with a reverse. And the reason I do is, especially with this pine, it loves to leave witness lines when you cut pine with a CNC. And so you'll have like basically layer lines everywhere the bit went. So what I do is I leave a machine offset and then have the bit come back and do a full depth of cut on that last pass, but I have it reverse and go the other direction. And that kind of like gets rid of that, so that once you sand it, you definitely ain't gonna be able to see those tool paths, because you can at times see the tool path if you don't do that. So but yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't get down to like 4,000. That's some pretty high tolerances unless you're doing like an inlay. So it's getting close. I see you got the crew mustered behind you.
Yeah, there's a confirmed tornado about 20, 25 miles away. Unfortunately, its cone is heading right for us too. So,
oh no,
keeping an eye on it.
Yeah. Well, good luck. We'll be hoping for the best over there.
Tis the season, and
that is not something you want to happen.
No, I'm hoping not all this wind and destructiveness, but we need to send some of this with rain up north in northern Minnesota. There's a lot of fires in north central and northeastern Minnesota. So, yeah, Barb's up there having to check on that as well. So, hopefully, anybody that's affected by these storms, those fires, is safe tonight. And you too, Sean. You're down there. Could get hit by some of these later too, down in Iowa. So good to see you here, but hope you're keeping an eye on the weather. Uboofer says they ordered X-Tool F2 Dual and AP2 last week. F2 Ultra will be here in a few days. No clue on the AP2. Sounds like fun. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. I think that's on. You'd love to have one of those to replace.
Yeah, if they would send me the F2, I'm telling you, I don't know. They see that was during that period of time where my contact at X-Tool got fired, quit, retired. I don't know what happened to him, but I was kind of like alienated for a little while. Like my contact wasn't there, and nobody like picked me up, so I just got like left in the corner over there sitting by myself. And so that machine was released during that period. And so I didn't even get offered it, because I would have actually taken it. Now I don't like the big grocery conveyor things, but I do like I like my F2 UV, and I like my F2 Ultra or my F1 Ultra. I mean, I love Galvo machines. They have a great place here in the shop. So I would definitely take it. But yeah, never got that one. I do have one similar right here, but I'm not officially doing a video on it yet. But that is the G-Week, however you want to say it.
Chewy.
Yeah, G-Wee, whatever. There's a K in there, but
Silent.
But it's a 40-watt blue and a 60-watt MOPA. So, and I did actually do a. What did I do with it? Where'd it go? Oh my God! I actually did do a deep engravings in an aluminum coin blank the other day with it, doing some of my testing, and it's doing a good job so far. Like I said, I also did, if you saw the short, I did this box on the blue laser side of it because I just needed a quick little logo burned right there. So I used the blue laser to do that. Now I maxed the Z-axis out on that box because I had the box already put together when I put it in there. And I maxed it out with it, but it did do it. So we'll see. That's about the way it works there, Aldrich. He says that guessing Steve will get one for free and I'll have to buy one. That's about the way it works.
Yeah, I think they're talking about the longer UV printer, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard. Like I said, I haven't heard anything from any of them. So
the last thing Longer offered me was another one of those little micro lasers, and I kind of feel
the Longer Ray 5 Mini.
Yeah, I mean the cool thing about it does have a little acrylic enclosure, but I kind of feel at that point that's making a small gantry based laser a little more difficult to use, and I've kind of done those to death last year. So
yeah, you did quite a few of them. I did one or two, but not as many as you did. Like I said, I'm trying to step away from a lot of it right now, unless it's something that's relevant, innovative, cool.
Yep. Trying to jump ahead. I feel like I missed a little bit here, but Jake Briley says, I just bought an OhmTech 60 watt and still learning the difference. And the CO2 to a diode went from a 6 watt Acmer to this. Wow, what a change. So yeah, especially if you're looking at cutting and in your engraving speed, but you may notice that you got to do a little more playing to get the real nice dark engravings, because that CO2 beam is very efficient at it's a more efficient burn. And so it's nice when you're doing cuts because the edges tend to be more caramelized than charred. It's more of like a blonde cut than a real dark caramelization. But kind of the same thing with the engraving is they tend to be a little bit lighter. So some of the tricks if you're doing engraving is to just defocus it about 2 or 3 millimeter, and you'll get a little darker engraving without having it go so deep. But yeah, that's quite a nice upgrade.
Yep. Trying to catch up on these comments. I'm tempted to go all the way to the end and just try to catch up that way.
Chris says he went from a Volkswagen Bug to an F1 racer. It's a little bit like that. But Boomer's asking, is there any way to connect an Atom Stack RA8 chuck rotary to an X-Tool F2? The cable end for the F2 is not compatible with the cable for the RA8. I don't know. I mean, is it possible? It's possible because you're just driving a stepper motor, but getting the right wiring adapter. I know kind of the inverse with the RA2 and the RA2 Pro, you can get adapters to go to other machines, but getting an adapter to go to the opposite plug.
Yeah, I'd be a little worried about that with the X tool, because you don't ever know on the backside what could happen if you accidentally reverse the polarity or something. It's not like some of the other machines.
Yeah, that's something I've tried. So
yeah, risky. Ken, yes, it is the G3. They sell it in a 60. I think it comes in a 60 and a 30, or a 60 and a 40 on the MOPA side of things. But I got to do the video. Haven't done the video yet. I've been testing it currently, and hopefully this week, because I've had it a couple of weeks. But I told them when they sent it, because they had asked me about it a while back, and I told them, hey, just let me know when it's coming in. And then all of a sudden they were like, they'd offered me another machine other than this one, and I told them I didn't have room for it, so I took this, and they had told me they were going to send it later, but then they were like, hey, here's your shipping number, here's your tracking number. So I told them it was going to be a couple of weeks because I like to test it really good. They have their own software, so there's also a little bit of a learning curve, but it looks a lot like some of the other softwares that we've used, like ComMarker and Monport and Acemer and some of the others that use their own software. It looks a lot like it. But so far, the machine has done what it's supposed to. Like I said, their software is not my favorite, but it does work with Lightburn. The only gripe I've got with Lightburn so far with it is that you have to physically go in and change the setting, like in the Galvo settings. You have to change a machine setting to go from blue to the IR, which is a little clunky, but it's not bad. So if you're just doing stuff with the blue laser, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to change anything. But if you start to use the fiber, you have to, even if it's just like if you're doing, say you want to use the blue and the fiber on the same job, you'd have to run the one pass, change the setting to blue, and then run the other one. So that's a little clunky compared to what I'm used to with some of the other machines, but so far it's done what it's supposed to do. I haven't had any issues with it. So
Jared's saying, sounds like the Akira Master is last hope for desktop CO2 in that budget range in terms of tumblers. I'm hoping it does the trick. So I did reach out to them about that to see what it was compatible with. It is compatible, I believe, with the RA8 rotary. But you do need they say you need the riser. Now it does have sensors if the tray's in there or not. So I don't know if that has something to do with that, or if you could, redneck engineer something.
Paint can it.
So I might not be able to test that initially, but they did say they would get that riser base to me, I think within a month. So I might have an initial video out just on kind of its general capabilities, as far as, sheet goods and working with different materials and, looking at Lightburn and Atom Stack Studio and stuff. But then we'll try to follow it up once I do have access to the right gear to make a rotary work on that. Because that may be, we're trying, a lot of people have asked that, what's a good CO2 desktop for tumblers. And so hopefully this would fit the bill, because it's the base unit is going to be, I think they said just, $199.99. So $2,000. So it's a little bit more than some of the other budget CO2s, but if it does work with a chuck rotary within Lightburn, well, then that's going to be probably the ticket. Yeah, now, that being said, depending on what the riser base and if you have to get that rotary, I'm also curious because ComMarker's coming out with their Galvo-based CO2 with a 40-watt RF tube. Now, it's probably going to be a little bit more than your typical Galvo and such, but they are known for kind of having more of a budget line of Galvo lasers. So if you're just looking for a tumbler type thing and you don't want to necessarily jump to, what is it, that vertical one from was it called Vertigo? Vertigo, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think it is. So
yeah, we'll see. That thing looks pretty beast. It looks neat.
Definitely keeping an eye out for, a good CO2 based tumbler machine that's kind of a budget line, because we've been able to do a lot with diodes, and you can use it on bigger CO2s, but there's that trade-off with diodes, and that you kind of got to play with the color and the thickness, and with the larger CO2s, that's great, but they be a space and a money constraint for some. So
Yeah, I've got my P2 set up to where it does a pretty good job of the tumblers using the RA3 and the RA2, but it's still not exactly what I want. Like it's okay. It gets me by, and I've got it jigged out to where it works. But there is a Thunderbolt that is about 4 hours from here that's been for sale for quite a while that has really had me thinking seriously about going and getting it. But I don't want to spend the money on the machine at the moment, because right now I'm using so many different machines that I don't want to go dumping that kind of money on just one machine. So, do we have a weather condition over there? All right. So DeWolf Dragon says, Clack, I know you use Lightburn with almost every laser you have, but have you had any success connecting it to the Lumos? Mine failed so badly, I finally had to uninstall Lightburn and reconnect. I didn't keep the Lumos here in the shop very long because it just, like I said, it was decent. I didn't mind the machine. It did a really good job on tumblers, but I stuck with their software because their integration with Lightburn, especially with like the camera and everything, when I had it, it was not great. And so I really can't speak to how well it works with Lightburn because I stayed in their software. I would design my wraps or whatever in Lightburn, export it over to their software and deploy it from there. So I really can't say as far as operating the machine with Lightburn, but that's the case with a lot of these machines. I mean, even X-Tools machines now, they've added features and they've added capabilities to the machines, and it does mess with the ability to use Lightburn to actually operate the machine. And so I find that it's easier sometimes to design in Lightburn because that's what I'm used to designing in, and then just export it as an SVG over into their software and send it from there. So that's what I end up doing a lot of times. Like just like with this new machine right here that I'm testing, their software, I'm not good at designing in it. I'm not going to say that it can't do it, but it slows me down. And so therefore I'm not going to sit there on jobs and try to learn their software because it doesn't have all the tools that I need either. So I've gotten where I don't design in very many softwares. Even the Eufy software, I don't design in it. I use my Adobe to write files for the Eufy, and then I just scale them and bring them in and do it that way. So
I think the trick with that is, and with a lot of the manufacturers now, is most of them are providing the device configuration files to import. And I would go that route. And if it's not working there, then yeah, I wouldn't try to create it myself and get it working. I would definitely start with the device import file. Yeah, and I saw Jared had a follow-up question on that IKEA. Do IKEA lasers usually work well with Lightburn in general? Again, they provided a device config file. Now it's the beta stuff. It's their first run in it. So I think there are a couple macros like the autofocus and such that hopefully they get working, but it also has the touchscreen autofocus. So I'm able to do that for now. But I imported that and it connected right away. And, I was able to, do my minor configurations of like, the endpoint and make sure it was set into millimeters a second, stuff like that. But yeah, I try not to, I think even a lot of the diodes anymore, they're adding the configuration files just import rather than having it auto detect. So I would definitely start there.
A lot of them are. There are some that sometimes you don't get it. But now again, too, me and you a lot of times get early machines, and so it may not be developed completely yet. So
Rob Wilson's asking, I have the F2 question. Will they do well on tumblers? Well, you've been playing with your jig.
As well as you can do with the blue diode. I mean, it's still a blue diode, or I mean, you can use the IR, but I recommend the blue if you're doing tumblers. Unless you're just trying to go for like a marking and not necessarily removing the powder coat. But They to me they do a good job. Now with the F2, if you got the RA3, there is that whole matter of the way that they've got it to where you set the F2 on top of the RA3. It's a little clunky, so that's why I created the Bigfoot and fixed that issue. But I use my F2 to do several tumblers, and I like it. Now, like I said, it is still a blue diode, so if you're doing a blue tumbler and a black tumbler, you're going to have to crank the power up or slow it down on the blue one as opposed to what you would run on the black one. Because even if they're identical tumblers, but one's blue and one's black, the settings are going to vary because the blue is going to reflect more blue light. The black is going to absorb more blue light. So with a blue laser, that's always going to be the case. Your settings are going to vary depending on the color of the tumbler. If it's a white tumbler, you're going to have to slow down and fire it up because white reflects every color of the light spectrum. So you have to take that into consideration with the tumblers. Is the darker the color, the more blue light is going to be reflected, the more blue light you're going to have to throw at it to get it engraved. But I've got several. You can go to my videos, and I got several videos on the F2 doing tumblers, the F1 doing tumblers, even the We Create Lumos. Ooh. Tumblers is one of those things that I made a lot of my money when I first started on tumblers. I don't do as many now because I got a friend of mine that does them, and I'll send them to him a lot of times. But tumblers will make you some money. I think the last order I did like 10 for a carpentry type company, and I did them on the. No, I think I did them on the F2. Because I had it out testing it at the time.
Sounds like it'll be an hour till anything is here. So why don't we go upstairs?
Oh, I don't know. Did we? Okay. Did we click on the same one or on different ones or?
I didn't click on one.
Oh. So I guess I missed it. Jake saying, what rotary chuck would you recommend for the OhmTech? Says I'm looking at the OhmTech one. That depends on which OhmTech machine you have, because I know if you got the Polar Plus, you're going to have to stick with the roller. You can't use a chuck. So make sure that whatever machine you have will use a chuck.
Well, Jake, he's the one who got the 60 watt, right?
Never mind, it's the Polar. It's the Polar Plus. I used the Atom Stack. It works. Never mind. I was thinking about the Reno again.
When I had my cabinet style Ruida, this was like going on 10 years ago now. I ended up with a real industrial chuck that we showed last week.
20 pounder.
Yeah, well, it was very much so.
It's a 1624 maker. That's gonna be like that one you had, that maker that you had.
Yep. Yeah, he's got a little bit bigger version of that one I was looking at. I guess it really depends on how much you want to spend. They've got theirs, which is going to be a bit industrial, their jaw rotary, but you're already at around $300 for that. The what is it, Pyburn, and what's the other one? Rotoboss. If you're going to be doing a lot of tumblers with it, it would probably be worth investing in one of those. They're kind of a set it up once, get it jigged in place, and then kind of a real quick change kind of thing. But you're going to spend probably 2-3 times the amount.
As much as you do on your laser, almost. Yeah.
Well, they push into the closer to $1,000 for some of those.
I was gonna say the Chuck version of the Rotoboss. Last time I looked, it was pretty pricey. Yeah. It's nice. I like it, but it was pricey.
But otherwise, yeah, they have their kind of their industrial jaw chuck rotary, and you should be able to, make some adapters for that to fit. But it's going to be fairly heavy duty.
Yeah, let's see. Pro 88 chuck. Let me see here. Rotary. Yeah, it's $1,150 for the chuck one that I was looking at. That's the Pro chuck that they got. But now it's a bad looking chuck though.
So this is what we're sitting at right now.
Oh Lord.
I'm hoping the future radar is accurate because it kind of just skips to the north. But
yeah,
it's kind of all coalescing around to the west of us. So
yeah. See, this is that one I've been having my eye on. That's a bad boy right there. It's kind of a combo.
Whew.
Yeah, but it is nice. It's got all the stuff. I mean, it's nice, but I can't right now. The Thunderbolt machine that I run up there at my buddy Tim's place, he's gotten the Rotoboss, I think it's like a Rotoboss Pro. It's not a chuck, it's a roller, but it's got the clamp that holds it in there with the bearing on it and everything. I mean, it's fully adjustable. Like you can adjust it, every different direction. And you can actually do like the big 40 ounces on it with the handles because of the way that it's built. You have to kind of lay your design out to avoid the handle. But I mean, it's pretty sweet. So I like that rotary, but right now it don't make sense for me to spend that kind of money on a rotary for what I'm doing. No more tumblers that I'm doing right now. I would have to be getting into a lot of tumbler jobs to justify that.
So I'm not endorsing this one at all, but this is kind of a better view of what I had.
That's the one you used to have? Yeah.
Yeah, it's there we go. That's a better view. But it's a very chunky beast kind of thing, but it did a lot of tumblers very well. So I mean, you can, if you don't want to spend a lot, you're willing to play around a little bit, you can pick up one of these kind of generic. You just want to make sure, check your laser. It probably has a 4-pin aviation style plug on the inside of the cabinet, but double check that. And sometimes you have to go into the controller and actually swap the plug, or there's like a switch type thing to switch between the rotary port and your normal Y-axis. So, but yeah, this, I mean, I don't order a lot from AliExpress or any of these kind of Chinese mall places, but look for something similar maybe on eBay or Amazon, and you can do some playing with it.
Gerald Grady saying, have you seen CNC Jogger? It uses a thumb drive, and when you can control jogging your machine on your phone through an app, it's supposed to work on most CNCs. No, I don't really get into that kind of thing. I use one of these. This works with carbide motion for the Spoko. It also will work natively inside of G-Sender as well. So with a Xbox controller on a Windows operating system, it just works natively. And then you can connect this to either, like I said, G-Sender works with it, or Carbide 3D works with it as well. And this is really cool because I can take and bump the machine over left, right, all that here. I can change my rate of movement with these two, and then up and down on the Z-axis is these two. And so there's some other ways you can program keys and stuff, but yeah, this is what I use. And it's this one right here runs on batteries. So all I got to do is keep some AA's around. And so far, I think in 2 years, I think I've had to change these batteries 3 times. So it's not bad.
Yeah, I've got the similar setup with the Winfinity, at least with the Buildbotics, you can do that. So we have an esports club at school, and they had bought a bunch of things around COVID that never got used, and they got pulled out of the cabinet the other day and said, hey, we're going to fire sale these. So I was able to grab a legit Xbox wireless controller for $20.
Oh yeah,
to have as a spare. But yeah, those work pretty well. Otherwise, you you can get some corded pendants for some of the older styles and such. But I haven't played with that software, and I have played with some of the wireless control, like with on the Sane Smart Machine and such. It works okay, but I don't know. I tend to stay away from mobile control or mobile things with devices. Just I don't know. I prefer more of a tactile, like like on the controllers they have the joystick.
Yeah,
you can kind of it's proportional, if you want to just bump it a little bit versus take it full speed kind of stuff. But
yeah, most of the time, if I'm just jogging the machine, I just use my left hand because I know where all the buttons are left-handed. And then if I need to change the speed, I just do, this will be like speed it up, slow it down as far as increments. You can go to fast 1 millimeter, 0.5, 0.25, 0.0025 or whatever using this. And then, like I said, the Z up and down is here. So to me, this is the way to go. And like I said, you can go to a pawn shop or something if you wanted to and really get a cheap one. You might could find one that maybe one of these buttons don't work anymore or something. Because you don't really use I haven't found a need for any of these buttons here. As long as the power button works, this little arrow pad here and these trigger buttons, you're good for what I'm doing. Now you could probably map other buttons to where, like, if you hit this button, it would probe or whatever. But I just use it for basic jogging and setting the 0, and then I set it to the side. So, but it's pretty cool.
Danio says, I absolutely love my Rotoboss Ascend control combo. Or Ascend combo. The Chuck is my favorite, but both units are amazing. Well, there's a good endorsement of it. It's worth the money.
Yeah, if I ever find myself in a situation where I need it. Right now, I can't justify the expense at the moment.
You'd have to be doing a lot of tumblers to.
Yep. Like I said, if I got to order in for enough tumblers to where I could make my money back for it, oh yeah. Let me go over and turn that on.
All right.
Let me just remote it from here. It's going to show you how that thing works. See, the cool thing too about being over here at my little command terminal is the fact that I have access to the computer that's on the wall over there. That's the one for my CNC. So like right there, I can resume it, and it's doing the bit setter right now. It's basically measuring to see if it needs to change the Z offset or not, which I'm not going to re-Z it because I got these little boxes set up to run right now. So when you go over, okay. So when you go over, like in here, like when I'm in here, so if I wanted to load a new file, I can go in here and load like my little hat folder, my hat holder thing. When I go to jog, you can see up here, it doesn't say anything about a controller, but now I have to go back out to run for just a second and then back into jog, and you'll see gamepad enabled. Once it detects that gamepad right there, now all I got to do to move the machine is I got to speed it up a little bit. So I can actually take this controller now, and where am I at? So now I can move the machine. So, and if you need to slow it down, of course, you just hit the little button there, and now it's like 1 millimeter increments, and then you can raise it and lower the Z-axis 1 millimeter at a time. So it's pretty handy doing it from here. So, but yeah, but and this is originally when I started using controller, I had to do like some hinky stuff, but now with this PlayStation or this Xbox controller and carbide motion, you have it to where the gamepad is automatically enabled. And so like right now I can also go to rapid positions in here and I can tell it to go to the very back. And so now the machine's just going to take itself and it's going to go back to the middle, all the way to the back out of the way. That's usually where I park it when I get through using it at night. And that way it's out of the way. It's in the middle, the spindle's in the middle of the machine and everything's out of the way. So yeah, but that's what I would recommend, especially if you have a Shapeoko. It works really good. This also works just as well with G-Sender. It's just the buttons are a little different with G-Sender. I think with G-Sender you actually had to use the joystick up here. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's this one up here that you use with G-Sender. All right. So, Steve, you making it over there?
Yep. Just checking on things.
Yeah. Kevin said it's like a UFO. What are we talking about? It's like a UFO. You talking about my CNC? Jack in the shop said double tap the X and it will jump over your clamps. No, you better make sure you got that. You got that safe Z set correctly. Is what you better do. Ask me how I know.
Ryan's asking if I'm getting the Creator 5 since I got the 85X. I've been talking with them about it. I've let them know that we've been getting, a lot of questions about it on, here specifically. And yeah, I'd love to, compare it to their other multifunction, but single tool head machine. So we'll see. Sometimes these communications are rapid fire. Sometimes you think they've gone on and all of a sudden they reach out, a week or two later. So
yeah,
I've been trying to, like Clack and I have said, we've been trying to clear out some of the machines we've had come in and reviews and get back to projects and such. But that's one of the ones I've been like, okay, if I can get a multi-tool head printer, especially a budget one like that, I'd like to try it out.
Yeah. Oh, I would definitely, because they sent me a thing, but it was like one of those emails to where you don't know if it's legit or not. The email address looked like it came from the right one, but it was just, there were some things about it that didn't really add up. And I replied back and said, yes, I would be interested in further discussion, but that's as far as that went. So we'll see. We will see. Kevin said, yep, you're CNC. Yeah, the Shapeoko people can say what they want. I like the machine. Okay. I'm not knocking Onefinity. I'm not knocking any of the other ones. What's the other one? The Long Mill, CNC Labs. Those are good machines. There's lots of good machines out there. But I've had good luck with this machine. The problems that I have had with it were like me. Like I caused the problems. So all in all, it paid for itself kind of quick because I was like, because the way I operate, I don't know about you guys, but when you buy a machine, it's like you try to find ways of incorporating it into your jobs. And so like I was turning laser jobs into CNC jobs to try to make my money back. And it took me, like I said, it took me a little over a year to like zero out my investment in the machine. But right now it's like it's paid for itself, I think like twice, 3 times over now. Like so and that's just the ones that I've kept up with. But it is definitely a cool machine. It's fun to have. The 4 foot by 4 foot is probably a little overkill for what I could have used. 2 years post purchase, I've probably 3. I think I'm going on 3 years now, ain't I? Yeah, I'm going on 3 years now. July will be 3. I would say all but maybe like 5 jobs that I've done, I could have done on a 2 foot by 4 foot. So the 4 foot by 4 foot, although I like having it because like if like with these little things right here, I can load a 4 foot by 4 foot work area full of material and just let them run. You know what I mean? So that is a benefit But as far as like the size of projects, most of the stuff that I'm going to do is going to be, like a sign. I might do a sign. Like I got a sign right now that's ordered that's 4 foot wide, and I think he said 10 inches tall. So I could do that on a 2 foot by 4 foot. But it is nice to have the extra space, and it makes a really good 4 foot by 4 foot table when you're not using it as a CNC. So, because if I hadn't had that, I don't know where I would have tested out the glacier. Because I had to use it for that.
Yep. EMT Dave's asked. EMT Dave's asking recommendations for a starter UV machine.
I mean, you clicked the same one.
Yeah. Assume you're talking about lasers.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, in the budget realm, you've got
UV and starter typically aren't two things that are going to go together.
I think the one that I've seen that if you want kind of maybe the most features for the dollar is and I haven't had firsthand experience with it, but the Sculpt Fun one is I think right around $3,000. It's more of an open one. It's not enclosed. It's got the flat open bed and such, but it also does the Z addressing. So if you want to do the engraved crystals, you can. So like the Omni One, if you just want to do flat engravings or on rotary, you can, but you're not going to do the subsurface engraving. Chris Gallagher is saying he's really happy with it. So there you go.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the Omni One. Like there's, of course, it's a Galvo machine, so there's going to be a lot of similarities, but it's like you said, it's got an open machine. But for that price, I've heard good things about it so far. And Sculpt Fun, I've had some Sculpt Fun machines. They've always worked as advertised.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can't say anything bad about it. I can't, like Steve said, I have not been able to put hands on one, but Sculpt Fun has a good reputation as far as I'm concerned with their machines, and not saying that their support and all that. I'm just saying I've used their machines, and their machines have always done what they said it was going to do. So that's really all I got to go on. And I do like their rotary. It looks pretty robust. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's because one of the biggest things that I had a complaint with about the Omni and even the Omni X is the lack of a framing laser. I'm kind of curious. I think whoever was it, Chris, that's got one. Mm-hmm. I think he said it has the framing laser. Yeah, I think it. I thought I saw it. But that would be the one big thing that I would say is whatever you get, try to get one that has a framing laser, because it's a pain to rear end if it don't have it. So I love my Omni One. Like you see, it's still sitting here. But I despise the fact that they did not put a framing laser in it. And therefore, I don't use it as much as I should, because the orange one over there has an awesome framing laser that works really well, and a camera. And so a lot of times I end up using it instead.
Yeah, I think for ease of use, the X-Tool one is probably going to take the cake, just because they do put a lot of time into making their software work well.
Yes.
And easy to get started with. I'm not saying it's the most featured one or the best value by any means, but probably the easiest to get started, but you are going to pay a little bit of a premium for it.
Oh yeah. The X-Tool one is definitely not your budget go-to, but as far as like buying the box and then pretty much it does everything. It is the most versatile, useful, and like it's my go-to. It's got to where it's my go-to for a UV. As much as I love my Omni, if I've got 200 of something that I've got to do, a lot of times I'll use the Omni because I got to pedal with it. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the other day I did 200 business cards for some folks, and I sat over there and did them 6 at a time on the X-Tool. Because you put six business cards in there, double tap the button, it does them. 6 more, double tap, it does them. So it's almost as fast as the pedal. So, Xtool's doing a really good job of adding options to their software that compete with some of the things that I like about Lightburn. Their image processor does a really good job too.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah, on really any of their lasers.
Yeah. Some of the other software's image processors aren't as good, but Xtool's gotten the image processing down.
No, not quite as nice as the Eufy though.
No, I mean it's kind of hard to beat that full color with the gloss. It's hard to avoid it.
That was done with the transfer decal one.
Yeah, I finally got. I've been playing around with the sticker stuff.
Well, and so is this. This was a let's cover up a bad print because I had printed my.
I got one of those.
My outdoor logo on or straight onto the tumbler, but that's when I started having the issue with the magenta. So it was like all fall color, and so I printed out one of these just big enough to stick over the top of it.
Okay, so Chris says it does have the red light framing.
Yeah.
Well, that is a plus.
That
That is definitely. I'll give it bonus points for that because I don't know what comp marker was thinking. I mean, they've done it in every other comp marker machine I've had, but with this one, they didn't do it, and it was a big ball drop because this is not an alternative to a framing laser. This is terrible because you're automatically your focal point where that little beam's hitting this is automatically going to be like with this thinner one. It's better because this is like 3 mil, but this is like 4 millimeters thick, almost 5. And so wherever it hits this is 5 millimeters up. And if it's coming in at an angle, then it's you can't really trust the frame. You have to kind of frame minus 2 millimeters technically with this because you're gonna that skew is gonna have you about 2 millimeters too big if you're not careful. So I don't like having to use these. That's why, like I said, if I'm doing like a batch job where I use my pedal, I'll set something up, I'll frame it, get it like it needs to be, do a good test burn. Once I get my jig in place and the test burn is successful, then I'll just like step on the pedal, burn, step on the pedal, and do it that way. But like I said, it's not getting used as much as it used to since I've got the Xtool UV around here because I love that camera on that UV. It's very accurate. I still frame just as a precaution, but the camera is very, very accurate.
Yep.
Kevin's saying, have you done any tumblers on the Eufy? I have not. Steve has. I haven't got into that yet.
Yeah, I've done some of them on there. I haven't. I tried one full wrap when it was really early on, and I ended up with a little overlap. And they've improved it since then. But I find that as long as you don't have like a full wrap joining, so like if you can do a transparent background and put things in, you could still do a full wrap without as much hassle. It's just getting that perfect seam on them. A little bit easier if you're doing like a straight tumbler than a tapered one, things like that. But it does work pretty well. I like using these are I don't know if it's going to come through on there, but it's like a matte textured finish tumbler. It's not like your shiny sublimation ones. And then it adheres to this really well, and you got the white kind of background anyway. So those it works pretty well on. And I need to fire those up again now that I've kind of got the thing back up and working, and maybe do a couple of different ones like that. But it's not fast, is the thing. And with tumblers, it does a lot of kind of self-leveling and self-measuring with lasers, and so that's all great. But it's not like a drop in place and swap it around. Let me check out one of the cats.
Yeah. Bulldog says we create Lumos Ultra. I didn't. They tried, like they really tried to get me to take that machine, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I have had some less than optimal experiences with some of the problems that we create will have with a machine, and you tell them about it, and they didn't go back and fix the issues that we told them about. Like if you go into any We Create group right now and look, there's going to be people in there wanting to know what to do about their their cable on their 45-watt Pro that got destroyed. That was an issue that X Tool knew it was or not X Tool. We Create knew it was an issue because they sent you 2 cables. Like that's like, you go buy a car and it comes with an extra motor in the back. Like it's got a motor still in the crate in the back. That tells you they knew it wasn't going to last. And so several bad experiences with them. I made a decision, and I think Steve will agree, that we just decided we was going to set this one out with the We Create machines because it's been some issues in the past, and so I passed on it. I've seen people say that it's a great machine. I don't know. I didn't take it. I don't really want to take it, so I can't say for sure. But that's just because I've had every machine that We Create has came out with except for the Vista. They didn't send me the Vista, but they sent me every other machine. The original We Create, the We Create 40 watt, the We Create Pro 45, and the Lumos. I've had all of those. And each one of them had its own set of things I didn't like about it. So,
yeah, the Lumos was, I would say, the one I had the best experience with.
I didn't have any major issues with it other than that whole like unidirectional thing.
Well, and they changed that on that one. I know on their gantry machines they still kind of lock that out unless you hook it up in Lightburn, which that in and of itself kind of tells you something. But the Lumos series, their Galvos are better. But yeah, I just had so much frustration in dealing with them on the other one that kind of needed to take a break from it.
Yeah, like I said, not saying that things won't change in the future, but I'm good right now. Radu has a question for you down there. Did you see that one?
When I did Dave in a Cup, I went back to add things, but the alignment was off. Did they fix that? I don't know. That would be, so like if you wanted to like set it up to print on a specific spot. Now, if it has a driveway, if it has a handle, it will detect where that's at, and then you can kind of align off of that. But if it's just a straight round cup, I don't know that you can necessarily say start printing here. But I haven't on that, and that's another reason these cups are blank. I mean, other than the logo I put on them, which means I don't need to align it to anything other than make sure that the cup is level. So I did a lot of tumblers with my original CO2, and I kind of just got tired of doing them. So I kind of just do one-off type things anymore. I tend to not do a lot of orders with tumblers. I know a lot of people have great success with them, and that's awesome. It's just one of those things that I got really tired of doing. So it's the thing that I might test one or two and try to at least talk about the initial setup, but I'm not necessarily the best person to tell you how to make a lot of money doing tumblers these days, because it's a thing I kind of shy away from at this point because I just got tired of it.
Yeah. Gerald Grady says, have you seen the GWE 800 watt fiber and 40 watt CO2 in Kickstarter? Yeah, they had mentioned that one when they sent this one. So, but
yeah, they have a whole group out there that's about it. So they have a couple different versions of it. And it's the smaller one is roughly the size of the X-Tool P3, I believe, in working area. And yeah, it's a 400 watt fiber and an 80 watt CO2. So be interesting to see. I think they're wanting to release that soon. But we'll see. But that would be, so that one, if you want to cut with it, so that's the thing, is you can cut up to, what is it, like 1/8 or 5/16 carbon steel, and then maybe some thinner aluminum, stuff like that. You definitely need to have either a high powered air compressor or gas attachments for doing the cuts right. So while it is kind of a a less industrial unit, more geared towards maybe a smaller workshop, to really run the air, you're going to need a higher power compressor that's probably running on a dedicated 240 circuit, which here in the US, not as common in everybody's garage. So
Yep.
just some things to look at with that one.
Yeah. Yeah. The power consumption on it is not going to probably work if all you have is like a 15 amp dedicated circuit. You're probably not going to be able to power that 800 watt machine. I'd have to sit there and do the math, but yeah, it's a nice looking machine. Like I said, I haven't ever worked with them a whole lot. This is the first time that I've worked with them on a machine. And like I said, I haven't got the video ready yet, but so far, like I said, their software is kind of like it's on par with everybody else's. It's not Lightburn and it's not quite Xtool Studio, but it works with their machine as far as like a CAM software. It's not what I would consider doing a whole lot of designing in, but so far their software has worked fine for operating the machine using files already put together. Oh, it's pretty handy. You still good over there?
So far, it's still slinking this way. Firing up a wind tunnel.
It does that when it first comes on. I don't know if it's like testing the fans or what, but that son of a gun will scream. Now it's booted up now. Can you hear it?
No, it's good now. It's just
But when you first power it up, it reminds you of the Omni X. Like it's bad.
Yeah,
So,
that's the thing with the Omni X is I moved it down to my basement shop so it wasn't in the way of the other machines I was testing, and then I fired it up the other day. I went, whew. And then Carla's like, "You got something running downstairs?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. See here, watch this. Yeah. Yeah, the boot sequence on it, like it'll kick up. But once you get it booted though, well, you can go in here and decide whatever you want to engrave. There's the camera. I've got to calibrate it. I haven't calibrated it, so it's off. But it does have a camera and everything in it. Like I said, the software looks a lot like. It kind of looks like it's built on the same framework as, say, like Xtool Studio, but it's not quite that. It's not quite to that level yet. It does have some different tools and so forth, but so far it's done a decent job. And you can, like I said, you can change. Like the thing that I like about it is like in here, you can change the whether you're using blue light or red. Like it is definitely a lot more fluid with their software. And then you've got roller, chuck, expanded engraving, batch engraving, embossed engraving. It's got a bunch of different options. So it's going to be an interesting machine, I think. So far, it hasn't been problematic or anything. Like I said, the software is just a little. It's a little less robust than I would like for it to be, but there again, as long as you're not designing in it, it seems to do a good job. So that's where I'm at on that. But this is it.
so
They probably should have made the door come up a little further because it to me it seems like it needs to go a little higher. But yeah, it has an enclosure. The laser itself, as well as the little source box there, both have handles on it. So you could literally carry the whole machine with two hands. And it's not all that heavy, but I don't know that I would consider it portable because it's a little big, like toting everything around.
So Dave, they do make a 120 version for the laser itself, but for the air compressor that they recommend to be able to cut the metal with the 400 watt fiber, that requires a 240 volt circuit because the airflow needed for it is a lot higher than your typical, garage shop air compressor. It's not the laser itself; it's the They do. I mean, if you really wanted to,
Well, you got the
you
laser, then you got the exhaust, then you got air compressor.
well, yeah, but I'm just saying that the requirement for the 240 is the air compressor to be able to do the metal cutting. If you don't want to do that, well, I don't know why you would get the laser then, but you can go with a lower powered air compressor just for your typical wood cutting and such. And yeah, that would work out on a more traditional circuit, but it wasn't the laser, it was just the air compressor. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, but the system as a whole, like a lot of people aren't going to be set up to, to be able to throw that much voltage and wattage into the machine. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of like particular about what I bring into my shop, is because there's electrical needs that I'm not really set up to handle right now.
Yeah, it's that, and once you start getting into those bigger machines that require a lot of those larger circuits, you're kind of getting outside the audience of your typical hobbyist, small business person doing the side gig kind of thing. And I feel like that's what we do, and that's kind of what our audience is. I don't want to all of a sudden be jumping into equipment. I think this one, we'll see. I mean, like I say, this is kind of straddling that hobbyist, small business, not quite industrial, but it's getting really close.
Yeah, if you were using it for physical items and you were selling the items or whatever, and you had space and power, necessary power for it, I don't think it'd be a bad machine. But yeah, it's not going to be one that everybody's going to want, because it, like I said, there's some drawbacks. The fact that it's as big as a chest freezer is going to be one of the drawbacks, just because it's a pretty good sized machine too.
I mean, when I looked at it, the specs were the dimensions are pretty close to the P3, which is close to a chest freezer, but it's like a small chest freezer, like a narrow but wide one, So I mean, it's I've seen other, like the people with the Thunders, like Chris Clemson's that big laser, that thing is
Brett over at Brett's Laser Garage got that, was it 120 watt Monport that looked like a queen size bed.
That's pushing.
I mean, I don't have the room for that right now, and that's one thing that I have to consider too, is if I bring that into the shop, what's going out, because I only have a finite amount of space. And so if I bring something in, something has to go out. And that is the dilemma that I have here. And like right now, it looks like I'm at least probably 2 years out from being able to have more space. So I would love to be closer than that, but responsibly speaking, I think I'm about 2 years out.
So Seth's asking, I'm having lots of requests to do small plaques, thinking about making my own plates. Do you make your own plates or do you buy them? This is one of those it depends questions. If it's if it's like a real special one-off kind of thing, and they want like a kind of a more unique design, so it might be an outline of a badge, or maybe a state outline or something like that. Sure, yeah, I might make my own, especially since I've got the easy access to the CNC router, and I've got a router table to do, maybe some chamfer, round over edges, things like that. But it's going to be more like a one-off kind of thing. If I'm doing a lot of them and they're just like your typical square, rectangular, oval, whatnot, I'm probably going to find blanks that, whether I finish them myself or, in some cases I'll get pre-finished and maybe apply an engraved something to it. I'm probably gonna look for some pre-done ones, because you can end up spending a lot of time. I mean, it's kind of like Clack. He could make the stove cover, the blanks for those, but it's easier to go buy the pre-glued panels. Now he still cuts them to size, but it's one of those kind of, you got to take a look at that and see if you're going to be doing it yourself, you're going to want to upcharge for that, or you're going to really, really like this person to do it for them. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time and it's going to eat into your, the value of the job.
Yeah. Like I've got some, and I bought it from, I think I got it from JDS, or maybe got it from JPP, but I've got some sheets, like 12 by 20 sheets of anodized aluminum over there. And I've got a plate cutter that's for plastics, but you can cut aluminum with it. It's basically a shear, like the old. I mean, I know y'all remember them from school. We used cutting paper, but it cuts acrylics and it cuts some thin metals. You can cut with it, and so I can like if I were going to make a plaque and the plaque needed like a 5x6 or 4x6 piece of anodized to go on it or something, I do have a sheet that I could cut a piece with it or whatever. But I don't do a lot of that kind of stuff. My buddy Tim at the trophy shop, he makes a lot of his own plaques to where he'll like layer some like black over gold or black over silver metal onto wood. And there's been some times where I have people wanting like some odd shaped things that you can't just go buy the blanks for. And that's the reason I have the anodized sheet, is because with some of these, especially the Galvos, you can actually cut. It's not very quick, but you can cut some anodized aluminum with them if you need to. But yeah. But a lot of my blanks I make myself, and then some of them it's cheaper just to go on JDS and buy the blank and engrave it, because they have like, especially if it's a plaque, they have all kinds of different shapes that you can get. And if you're not familiar with it, I'll show you. I mean, it's where I go on here and get lots of stuff. So like you can go, like, this is JDS. It's JDS wholesale. Now you do have to like create an account with them and give them your EIN and all this kind of good stuff.
Yeah, you need to be a legit business for them.
Yeah, but you can get like, you talking about plaque plates. You can go in here and like, these are the different plates. Like if that's what you're talking about doing. So you don't have to worry about trying to drill the holes or cut these shapes or nothing like that. And so you can literally just go in here and pick this. Like if you're doing like, say, deer mounts, that's a pretty common thing around here is, hey, I shot this deer and got it mounted and I need a tag to go on the mount, or this turkey or duck or bobcat or whatever. You can go in here and like I said, you can get boxes of these things. Like a case of these is it's 100 of them in a case here. And so you have to log in to put them in your cart, but then it'll tell you how much they cost and all that stuff. And so you can just order them already made. And a lot of times, if it's just cookie cutter stuff like this, it's a lot cheaper to do that and get back in the shop and get back to work than it is sitting there trying to stamp these out, because they make a machine that you can actually like press these out like a cutter, a brake machine. But I don't have one. All I have is a chopper, and I can't do these like these little divots, like the internally radiused corners right here. There's actually a machine that does that. Like it's a little nipper that like looks like a pair of shears or something that takes that corner off. But you can buy these already cut. You don't have to worry about it. So I'll show y'all my antique. Hang on.
Dave, I'm very jealous if you've got 400 amp service in your shop.
Hey, this is my antique.
Yeah, Mark, the X-Tool laser welder, that machine is pretty chunky. You know, it's a pretty big block itself, and then yeah, they've got the whole console that goes on it for the source and the welder.
So like if you got some acrylics like this, and let's say I need to cut that little piece off, I'm just gonna nip the end off of it, but you can measure it if you need.
Yeah, Chris, you know how the US likes to be different from everybody else, so we're 110 and not 220, 240.
So it just shears it right off. And it'll cut like anodized metals too, as long as they're the right thickness. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat.
Brian says you need to put out more dancing videos. You might get a viral video and you get rolling in the dough so you can build Clock Shack 2.0.
I don't know that my dancing is that good.
Oh, it doesn't have to be good. It just needs to be viral.
I mean, it might go viral, but it won't be for the right reasons.
Does it matter?
This is a very thin card, though. I don't know if it's going to cut this one, but we'll see. You see, it like shears it. So if you needed to make a little plaque to go on something like that, now without drilling the holes in it, of course, you're going to have to use like some double-sided adhesive or something to mount it with. But you can cut thin metals, plastics, and stuff with it. But it's heavy. You can also, if you were not very careful, you could also lose a finger with this really quick because it is like a massive. It's like a massive guillotine. So you got to be careful when handling it.
Rob says, be careful lifting those antiques. You don't need more back problems.
Hey, that thing's heavy. That's the one thing I can say about it. It ain't going to go nowhere. You set it on the counter, it's not going to flip over. But yeah, it's handy to have though, because like you can cut a lot of stuff with it. But yeah, JDS is one of those places that you can, like I said, you can order some cool, interesting blanks from there, but you got to order a bunch of them to get them cheap. And it's still not Temu cheap.
Yep.
Seth says next video, we'll just shear cut it. That would be interesting. I've never tried like leather. I haven't used that one on paper. I've got one that I use on paper that's like a crafter type cutter. And then Yuffie sent me one that cuts the stickers. So. Seth said, question answered. I will buy them from JDS. Well, good deal. Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, like I said, it's a lot of times it is easier to just get them from them. Unless you're going to be doing lots of them. Like I said, if you're going to be doing them every week, custom sizes and blah, 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 then you might want to invest in the material, the cutter, all that stuff. Because they have the different tools too.
Rob Wilson's asking if you guys had much luck cutting LSA leatherette. I'm assuming that's Lone Star adhesive. With the F2, I get flames. I have not played with that yet.
I did some with was it the F1? And yeah, you'll set it on fire if you ain't careful. Even like the 3-layer stuff, it'll get a little flamey if you ain't careful. The leatherette, from what I can recall, I don't got it sitting here. I had to go like a lot of passes. Keep it moving, because if you sit still, it will get flamey. I did a video. I think it was a live actually that I did it. The blue laser, of course, did a lot better than the IR, but I'm pretty sure I cut it on I think it was the F1. Is it the F1 or the F1 Ultra? Not sure.
Yeah, and the Lone Star adhesive leatherette's it's durable.
Yeah, that sticky
little
layer
beefier
on it is a little hard to cut with the blue laser because it's kind of like semi-transparent, and so it'll cut everything but the little sticky layer, and it's like almost like you got to take a knife or scissors and cut that. So that's one of those things too, to where if you could come up with like a punch or shear that would just like cut your round patches out, like that would be the way to go with that stuff.
Yeah, he says his wife's wanting to do a mobile hat bar. Might be one of those things where, if you can make some blanks beforehand, and then engrave them kind of within that. I know it might not be as ideal if you want to get the right, shape, but those could be like, hey, if you want a specific shape, we'll work with you to like, I don't know, get it to you later, or if it takes off and does well, then it might be the case where you get something like, Clack and I have the A24 where we can do the cutting on that, do the engraving on the other if you need to. But Yeah, it's a little tough when you don't have that air assist to kind of keep the flames down and keep the quality of the cut up.
Yep. Yeah, the problem with the F1 cutting the Lone Star, I don't think it's so much the ability to cut, it's the lack of air assist. That's where the problem is. It's not that the blue laser can't cut it. I see somebody saying that they cut it with a 20-watt easily with the D1 Pro. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not that it takes a lot of power to cut the stuff necessarily as much as with the F1 Ultra, you don't have an air assist. Now, you could improvise maybe and like Steve said, have a small one of those little bitty machines that does have an air assist sitting there to the side. Maybe it's like one of the little, the little tiny 150 by 150 machines that's just big enough to cut the patch with, and then use the F1 to engrave it. Maybe that's a working plan, but you're going to want to have air assist to cut it. That's for sure. Like I said, especially to get through that last little bit of that sticky adhesive, because that stuff does kind of hang on like mozzarella cheese on a pizza. Like it's like when you pull the piece, it's like it just strings. because I've cut some of it before, and that's exactly what happens to it.
Yeah, I mean that would be.
So you end up with like this.
That'd be a case for the SculptFun iCube Ultra, because they have the 12-watt blue diode on it, and then they have an air assist option, and it's very portable. So
yeah, that would be my thing, is get you a little small machine to take with you to cut, and then once you cut it, then do it. But yeah, this sticky part right here, like I said, it's like that mozzarella pizza. It's just like when you cut it, it's like, yeah. But yeah, this stuff gets a little flamey sometimes if you don't have air assist. I should have cut that off while I had my machine over here. My buddy Brent, he's one of the local guys here. I saw him at the Strawberry Festival we went to here a while back. And he said that the Strawberry Festival was his most profitable day of doing hats at an event that he's ever done. So that was pretty cool, because he had asked me if I was going to be set up at the event, because he was wanting to come do the hat thing. And I was like, dude, I'll be at the event, but I'm not going to be set up. And so yeah.
Yeah, this is where, if you could do the whole mobile trailer setup and you had a little CO2 in there, you got your galvos, you got your UV printer, you could do a lot of on-spot customization stuff, but it had to be the thing where that's your thing. You go to like weekend events and do that. So
yeah, he had it set up pretty nice. The way it, from what I can recall, the way he had his set up was he had like pre-cut patches, like of all different shapes or whatever. And then he would do the engraving on site, the pressing. You could like pick I want this color hat patch. I want this hat, all that. He had some pre-made patches. I think he was engraving some on scene as well, but he had like a whole, like, it looked like one of the little things when you go to the store, where it had like just rows and rows of different patches. Because that's what he does. He leans heavy hats. And he said he done a good job. I thought I might have kept some pictures. I know I took some video that day, but I am not seeing it. I don't remember where I put it.
Jared Lyon says on the Loomis, it does high speed and a lot of passes for hat patches of 1.8 mil leatherette. But yeah, it sounds like he sometimes uses an X-Acto knife to go through some adhesive as well. So
yeah, that stuff can be a little chewy with a blue laser, because it's kind of semi-transparent, so it's not the most efficient burning material with a blue.
Yeah. Just make sure you get a lot of, that's one thing is if you're doing the hobby knife or even the straight razor blade kind of thing, just keep them on hand, because they dull quick, and there's nothing worse than trying to fight a dull blade on rough material like that. So Seth Rosenberg is asking, you're talking about using blanks or moving things to another machine to cut it. What's the best way to line everything up? Well, if you're using something like the F2 or the Lumos, Galvo style laser, they have a nice framing feature, so that can be used to to line things up. Otherwise, as Clark's going to show here, he's got a series of alignment jigs for his portable laser. So anytime he has a blank, he'll cut out a jig for it, and then you can use the template of the software to line things up to that. So otherwise, you can use framing tool, or you can set, some of the tricks. If you have a round object and you want it centered, you can change your laser to current position and your origin to center. Just mark the center of your or find the center of your item, and then have it start as the center point as its origin, and then just work from there. So there's a few different ways to do it, but with the portable Galvo style lasers, they have that nice framing function. They'll do an exact outline of the artwork. It makes it really easy to line things up, because it's kind of like seeing the engraving in real time with the preview laser.
Yeah. Like I said, you can do a lot with just using the framing laser, but if you really start turning them out and you're turning them out quick, especially with the X-Tool products, you get 8 canvases per file. And so I have in X-Tool Studio, I actually have a file that I can open, and that file contains the top 8 most popular designs that I do at events. And so I just switch canvas and go to the next one. And it's that simple. So matter of fact, I don't have it connected, so we'll see here. I'll show you. Let's see. Ooh. Let's see. All right. So here we go. So like I have my little jig file set up, and all of these are basically, all of these are just, these are non-output lines. And so I go over here to the canvases. And so I have like all these different jigs that, like when I go to an event, you see, pet tags are like my number one thing that I like at an event. Pet tags are like the big seller. My bamboo pins are another big seller. Then I got like the dog tags for the necklaces. Then I can do 2 dog tags if they're wanting 2 of them. But typically, if I'm doing dog tags, I'll just do them one at a time. And then I have like the business card jig. And these files are already configured to where when I change to that file and I put that jig in the machine, it's lined up. Like it takes the guesswork out of it. And so I got all these different, like a bottle opener. And if that's not enough, I can actually go over here, and with the new updated Windows, I can go in and open up 2 different instances. So that was the basic. This is the key rings. And so I can actually have, now I've got one file with like all of my different keychain shapes in it for the different keychains that I take to events and so forth. And then I can switch over to this other file here if I want to. And so between those 2 files right there, I've covered 16 different items that I'm selling at that event that I can quickly engrave. So yeah, but that's what I recommend if you're going to an event to do stuff, because this takes it takes the guesswork out of it. It makes alignment so much quicker. And when you save stuff in this file at an event, like you can even leave your settings, leave your graphics in here, leave the settings in here, so you don't have to remember what you ran. So it's pretty handy. So that's how I do that. And I talked to Klein today, matter of fact, and he's going to be off all summer from school. So we're going to be doing the Peach Jam, but we talked about today, we might try to do another event or 2, because he likes doing the events, and I like doing them too, but it's just hard to do an event by yourself a lot of times. So it's nice when I got a helper. So we'll see. Jack says you can add an air tube that sits beside the laser plate. Yeah, that's still not going to be the same as having it directly down onto the cut. So I mean that would probably help, but I don't think that's going to cure it. Rob Wilson said, "Trailer, I don't have fancy YouTube money." Well, Rob, I have you know, my trailer was not purchased with YouTube money. It was purchased with woodworking and sawmill money. So it was actually purchased before I was making. I mean, I wasn't making enough to really. I mean, I made a little bit there in the beginning, but I wasn't making a lot. Most of my money was coming from either selling slabs, drying lumber, sharpening sawmill blades, or doing woodworking projects. So,
yep. Yeah, you do what you can to have the shop kind of reinvest itself, but yeah, I mean that's just kind of like if you were doing a lot of those events, it might make sense. Yeah. I wouldn't do it for the 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah, Jack says I think it's easier to frame than to have 100 jigs to dig through. It's I've tried it both ways. I like my jigs. With the way X-Tool software works, like I just showed you, to where I can just rapidly click between the jigs, I like my jigs.
I mean, I think if you're doing enough of one item, yes. If you're doing a lot of one-offs, then making a jig doesn't make sense.
Well, at the Peach Jam, like there'll be a line, and the first 3 people may want dog tags. Then the next person wants a necklace. Then the next person wants 2 keychains. And then the next person wants another pet tag. And then it's like, so to me, it's so quick. Like, because I can even like save the text on the pet tags. I can save it in there. And all I got to do, I've got my settings and everything in there. All I've got to do is backspace, change the name, change the phone number, and hit burn. And I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then when I go to another item, I can just click on it and do the same thing. I can backspace, change the text, and go from there. So the ones I just showed y'all are actually sterilized jigs, because the ones that I use at events are on my laptop, because that's the machine that I use when I go places. So to me, it's so much better, so much organized, so much less guesswork, because you'll be ran the settings for a bamboo ink pen on an anodized dog tag if you don't switch from file to file.
Yep.
Oh, Rob said he got the Bigfoot too. Hey, that thing's handy. I feel like that was one of my better designs because I was about to pull my hair out because I like the RA3, but it was just too big for the F2 the way it was, and I don't like the whole, just take it and sit it on top of it thing. I didn't like that. There you go. There's your one. Rob says, "Can I ask you guys about pricing? I don't want to leave money on the table."
You're the one doing events.
Well, the way I look at it is, if you're still selling, you're not priced too high. Look at the market. Everybody's market's different. Like Steve can sell things more expensive than I can in places, and vice versa. No 2 items are going to sell for the same amount in no 2 places. It's too many variables. I will tell you this: if you're doing physical products in your area, 90% of the people that are asking you about making a product are doing their research on Etsy, and they're just reaching out to you to see if they can get it from you a little cheaper than what they can on Etsy. So a lot of times, if you'll go on Etsy and kind of scan through and see what everybody's selling it for, that'll give you an idea of where they're looking at going. And I'm not saying that you have to be lower than people on Etsy, because sometimes that's a stretch, but that's generally what I see a lot of is people, and they're looking on Etsy because they send you screenshots of stuff that's on Etsy and go, "Hey, can you make something like this? I'd rather order local than order it online." And I'm like, "Well, sure, I can," So it's a good tool to look at to get an idea of what's selling. Because you can see on there on Etsy, it'll tell you how many sold in the last month or whatever. But pricing is there's a lot of different things. Harley Davidson can sell motorcycles for more than some other company that just spun up that's making motorcycles. Some of that's because of brand recognition and brand value. So you as a beginner may not be able to get the same price that somebody that has reputation in the community can get. So there's a lot of variables. But now I will tell you this, if you can't make them fast enough, and I see this on the internet a lot, like, I can't make these fast enough. Oh, they sell as fast as I can make them. I can't keep up with demand. If that's the case, you can charge it enough. I mean, you can slow it down a little bit, raise the charge a little bit. Because a lot of times,
and if they're making a video on it, they're obviously not.
Yeah, they took a little time off.
They're not selling enough of them to.
Yeah, they took a little bit of time off to make a video, didn't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I see that all the time. I can't make these fast enough. I'm like, well, you're not charging enough or something. I mean, because, you know, there are things that happen that way. I've had some products that come out of the hole and it's like, oh my gosh, but eventually it tapers down. But yeah, it's you can gently raise your prices at times to throttle back if you're getting overworked. So it's a balancing act. And I know there's people out there that'll give you a formula and tell you that you got to charge 10% for this and 5% for that and 6% for, you know, just in case there's a locust attack at your house or whatever, to be prepared. And I get it. But my question would be, how much sales did they do that week? Because that's not always the case. I've priced things before and been like, man, that's too cheap. I ain't gonna make no money off of that. And then be like, oh, that's way too much. And then I've had other products to where I throw a number out there trying not to get the job. And they're like, I'll take 10. And it's like, what the heck just happened? I was trying to price myself out of the job. But now that they've agreed to the price, I'm fixing to make 10 of them, you know? So it's lots of variables.
Well, the important thing is to think about all of your costs, all of your, you know, there's, you're going to have taxes on the income. And they're often, you know, self-employment tax. People don't necessarily think about that. And so, do keep that in mind when trying to maybe undercut the price. And also, you know, at the beginning, as you're getting started, yeah, you may need to try to be the budget person to get your name out there. But as people know what you can do and know how you handle it, and the quality that you can do, hopefully you're building up, you know, good reputation in that. They're going to want you to do it because they know they're going to get a good quality product and hopefully a fast time and supporting someone local. And that doesn't mean you want to like take advantage of them and charge more, but they will be willing to pay a fair, maybe even a premium price to have you do it then. But as you're getting started, you know, your first sales may be pretty light on the profit. Just it's your advertising. It's, you know, it's getting your stuff out there. And then as Clack said, as you go, you can start kind of adjusting from there. And yes, sometimes you throw that price because you're like, I really don't want to do this, but if you're going to pay me this much, it'll be worth it. And you'd be surprised how many people will pay that for whatever the reason is. I've had some of the people I work for, the businesses, you know, like, especially like the, you know, the more, the craft farmers that I work with, you know, they've got a specialty product. I'm happy to pay them a premium for it because it's a high quality product I can't get in the local grocer and such. They do the same for me, you know, and they've actually come back. I've given them a bill. I said, this is my fair price. This is what I want for it. And they say it's not enough. And sometimes they'll offer me more cash. Or in the case of the farmer, he was like, hey, I threw in some extra, you know, bacon, sausage, or whatever on your next meat order kind of thing for you. So it's a little bit of a market thing, but it's a little bit of developing your brand and your kind of, you know, getting your name out there and getting known for it. And then you'll play a little bit from there. But in the beginning, it does kind of feel like a little bit of a race to the bottom. Just be careful that you're protecting, that you're actually, you know, making a profit. If that's your goal, you know, because I see a lot of people who they don't factor in all, you know, shipping's one thing, but buying the boxes, buying the packing material, buying the labels, maybe buying the, you know, there's a lot of little costs in there that all of a sudden add up to a lot. you know, just the actual shipping you pay is sometimes only half of your shipping and handling, that, you know, buying the boxes, buying the packing material, buying the tape, all that stuff, you know, yeah, I don't spend a lot on toner for my laser, but every year or so I got to buy a toner cartridge, and, you know, that's anywhere from $30 to $50 depending on if it's the black cartridge or colors. So all those little costs will eat at you.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of incidental stuff that goes into it. But like I said, I try not to look at, because I hear a lot of people too telling, you know, saying that, you know, if you need to make so much an hour. But my thing is this, is if the CNC's over there cutting out these little boxes right here for 3 hours, and I'm over here designing a file or running a laser or doing something else, all I'm really doing is listening to the machine. I mean, and, you know, listening for, you know, material to come loose or something to happen with the machine. So to me, I'm not looking necessarily to be getting paid like a full wage for my time for this machine just sitting over there running. Now, there is going to be wear on the bits, you know, maintenance on the machine, blah, blah, blah. At one point, I've got to empty my chip collection over there and dump that. I mean, so there are incidental stuff, but I'm not going to try to charge $20 an hour for that machine to sit over there and run, you know, $30 an hour for the machine to run. But you got to figure out what it's worth to you. Because if I'm sitting here and I've got my CNC running on a job, I've got the Eufy over there printing some stuff on the job, and I've got the alien cell over here engraving on a job, and then I've got stove covers going and engraving over here on this machine. Yeah, I'm not making, each job's not paying me a lot of money, but if you look at, you know, I got 6 different jobs going. If each one of them makes me $10 to $20 an hour, that's a pretty good little hourly wage for me to just sit here and babysit machines while they're running. That's the way I look at it, because a lot of the stuff that I do, that's what I'm doing. I'm just babysitting machines. I mean, I got 8 stove covers sitting over there. Those are $100 a piece is what I get on them. And I made those Friday, all 8 of them. Now I've got material cost, you know, I've got handles, I've got the little feet, I've got finish, I've got glue, I've got towels, because even though, you know, because like the rag that I use to put the stain on them and wipe the stain off with, you know, that's a perishable, that's gone, like that's disposable. So there are costs associated with that, but I still make about $70 a piece on those. So that's a pretty good little day's wage for a guy hanging out in his shop, in my opinion, you know. So it's, you know, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you can get into the details on things, and it is good to kind of have an idea of what it costs you to run each machine. Because if you're really doing this as a business, you want to like kind of plan for that. At some point, you're going to have to, you know, whether it's you're replacing a laser head, a laser tube, or even the full-on machine and CNC routers. It's as simple as how much do you typically get out of a bit, not necessarily Clack because he likes to break them, but you know, there's a lot of factors to look at it, but you know, that'll get you in the weeds. And as you develop your business more, you'll get a better feel for that. So some of it is just kind of picking out, you know, are you happy with making $20 an hour, or do you need to make $60 an hour? And you can figure out, like Clack says, how many things can you make in that hour with the machine and the stuff in your shop? But it's also something where you have to look at if another person has a better, faster machine, or they're doing duplicates, they can do it for less because they're doubling or tripling up on their productivity. The other thing that you look at too is how much you can do yourself. You know, we see it a lot of times where people start out small and all of a sudden they're like, well, I gotta hire help. Well, that's a whole nother dynamic of cost.
Yeah, a helper is exponentially more expensive than just maximizing your processes.
So it's good to start looking at some of those costs very early on of what does it truly take. And that's where I say, you know, look at all the things it takes for you to make that sale. You know, for me too, it's the shop time. And if I do shows, if I have no other benefit to that show other than the income I make from it, you got to figure out the time it takes to pack, the time it takes to drive, your mileage, your meals. the time spent there versus
Yeah,
in
I
the
lost
shop.
money on like the first 7 or 8 shows I went to. I lost money.
Yeah, all those things kind of add up into the cost of selling that product. So, the nice thing is for the people who are doing it. Like I think I've said this before. I go to the makerspace shows, and there's a couple guys that they're obviously it's a hobby, and they're just trying to clear out items they made to buy some more material because they're undercutting everybody like grossly with their stuff. So, you got to take that all with what it is. Biggest thing you can do is be different. Put your spin on stuff, and then it's not so much a race to bottom. You can more set like it's more unique. You're one of a few or the only one who does that, and then it's going to have more intrinsic value there.
Yeah, and one thing that I will say, whether you're doing it as a hobby, small business, or you want to spin it up into a business one day, start keeping your money separated, like your business money. Keep your business money, and your household budget money. Keep those things separate, and keep up with how much comes in, how much goes out. And if you're doing it as a job and more is going out than is coming in, then obviously there's either a problem with your expenses are way overrun, or you're not charging enough for your products, because you'll start losing money. Because I'm very bad about, I don't necessarily sit and analyze for 6 weeks every single thing that I do. But if I start looking at my bills at the end of the month and I'm spending more on materials and electric and all these things than what I brought in that month, then obviously there is a severe issue with the operation. And I either need to cut expenses or raise revenue. That's your 2 options. So far, I can honestly say that since I started doing this back in 2021, I've stayed in the green. Like I've never outspent myself. Even when I bought the CNC over there, I saved up and I put the money in the bank. And then when I got enough money in the bank, I left my cushion in there, because I try to keep a cushion in case somebody calls me and says, "Hey, I need 200 tumblers or whatever." You've got to have the money to be able to order those 200 tumblers or whatever to do that job. Because if not, you're going to be like, "Hey, can you pay up front for the tumblers?" And although a deposit's not a bad thing, you don't want them to have to buy all the tumblers up front. So it's a balance. But yeah, I bought the CNC, and of course, like I said, I was hammering CNC jobs. Like I was pushing the CNC jobs. Everybody was like, "Hey, can you cut this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can make it real good on the CNC," because I was trying to use the CNC to make money to put back in the budget, because there was a big negative $4,000 for a CNC over there on my books. So if you can track your money, I think that would be a good insight for you to look at too. Like when you go buy materials, keep up with how much you spent on, nails and brads and staples and finish and paintbrushes and shop rags and all that kind of stuff. Just keep up with it and compare how much is coming out and how much is coming in. And that'll be an obvious indicator as to whether you're pricing it right or not. Like Steve says, if it's just a hobby and you're breaking even, hey, you're good. If it's a hobby and you're in the red, then maybe that's acceptable to you. But if you're trying to do it as a business, and like with me, I was trying to run mine into being a business so that I could do what I'm doing now, which is retire from my career and just work in my shop and draw that pension, put that money in the household budget, and then play with my shop money, which is, generally speaking, that's what I do. I reinvest all the money that my business makes goes back into the business, with the exception of I do draw a little bit of money out of the company every year to help with things around the house, to get things done and fixed and all that. So, but you got to figure out what it is. Like Steve said, what is it? What is your purpose? What is your goal? Are you trying to make a bunch of money, or are you just trying to not spend a bunch of money on your hobby that you enjoy? So we have ran over, sir. We are almost 40 minutes over.
And Jake says, first time viewer and enjoyed it. Great content. I'll be back. That's awesome. Hopefully,
that's very kind of you to say it's great content, because that's not how most people describe us.
Yeah, me sitting in my basement hiding from the storms, which I think the worst of it seems to have passed for now, but there is another wave behind it. So hopefully this rain's heading north. They need it up by those forest fires, but I don't know that it's making it up there. But Anyway, yeah, it's late. So
I don't see anything else. I don't see any more questions. So yeah. Chris says, Dave, the money you draw is really funding for the second channel. No, not really. I mean, the other channel, I don't have a very good, like my production budget's not real big around here. I don't know if y'all can tell or not. But but no, like when I first started doing this, some of y'all know this if you've been watching the channel for a while. There was a period in my career where I left the city of Montgomery, Alabama, which is state capital. I worked there for 2 years and 4 months, and then I left there and came back home to the sheriff's office here where I live. And when I did that, the city of Montgomery was a big city. They had 600 officers when I worked there, and so they had their own like retirement pension type setup. Well, when I left Montgomery and went to the sheriff's office, because I no longer worked for the city of Montgomery, they would not let me leave my money from my retirement in their system. They just wrote you a check and gave it to you as you left. And so there was 2 years and 4 months that I worked in Montgomery that when I came to work with the county here, I was on state retirement. And then when I went to the city after that, I was stayed on a state retirement. So what that amounted to was, despite the fact that I had, let's say 22 and a half years altogether in law enforcement, I didn't have them in the state retirement service. So I couldn't retire until I had 25 years in the state retirement service. But the state did allow you to purchase time worked as long as you were in the capacity of a full-time law enforcement officer. You could purchase those years back to count towards your retirement. So instead of me having to wait until, 2027 to retire, no, it would have been 2028. Yeah. Instead of me having to wait until 2028 to retire, if I purchased those 2.5 years back, I got to retire October 2025, which is what I ended up doing. But I had to buy that time back. And so I drew money from my business to contribute toward that, to help buy that back. And that's how I enabled myself to be able to retire earlier than I would have, was by using the money from the business to finance buying that time back, because there wasn't that much wiggle room in my household budget to be throwing money at that. So I used it to substitute. And that's how I was able to retire 2.5 years earlier than originally thought. So that's the kind of stuff I do with the money I pull out of the business. But yeah. And I'm thankful. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be able to do that, because it's, because I've been out here all day today working on stuff, coming up with ideas, designing files, answering questions. Like it's a job, even though it's not a job per se that I don't like. It's still a job. It's still work. So, Bulldog Creation says, quick question: are you going to put the Lumos cap on Etsy soon? I'm trying to figure out how to do it without having a whole bunch of listings for lens caps. I did turn on the customization, Bulldog. I did turn on the customization option on the lens caps. So if you wanted to go in there, just make sure, if you wanted to just order it, make sure you specify under customization that you need the Lumos cap, and I can do it. Like, you can pick the colors and all that, but just in the customization box, make sure you put for the We Create Lumos so that I know which one it is, and make sure you tell me what color cap you want. Because I got them. I got them. I got the Lumos stuff over here. Because coincidentally, the Lumos and the G Week or whatever both use the same 65 millimeter size lens cap. So I've converted most every lens cap that I've designed over to this format, and I can make you one. You just have to make sure you put in there uh, in the customization that it is for we create Lumos, and I can do it. So, but I got to figure out how to put that on there. I wish they give me one more option. I'd be able to do it, but they haven't. So anyway. Well, Chris, the problem is I've had people measure their lens before and send me measurements. You'd be surprised how many people can't measure a lens accurately. But this one is a 65 millimeter. The Wiki and the Lumos both are 65 millimeter. But yeah, not everybody owns a caliber. I have found that out. You would think everybody that did laser work would have a caliber, but this is not true. Not true at all. I know Steve runs into it a lot too because he sells files, and they're like, "Well, I bought 1/4 inch material, but it's not 1/4 inch. It never is." So, all right, that's all I got, guys. Ryan Ballard.
Yep.
What you got in closing, Steve? Are you in the clear? Can we quit crossing our fingers and toes for you?
It kind of looks like the first wave is past us. And so it's kind of moving that way, but there's more down there, and it's mostly moving to the east, but some of it's moving northeast. So we'll see.
So not quite out of the woods yet. So it looks like you're going to be on weather watch tonight.
A little bit, you know. I mean, there's at this point, it's probably going to be more wind and rain, but hopefully not tornadic. But yeah. So
that's some pretty ominous looking radar indications there.
Well, they need it up here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fires going on up around Two Harbors, around Brainerd, up towards they're maybe getting some up here, but this whole northeast corner of the state
looks like it's skipping right around where the range needed.
Yeah, it kind of is, but hopefully it comes through because they really need it up there. But yeah, I think we're going to be okay as long as the water stays out of the basement and whatnot.
Well, one thing that we haven't shared, I am working on a trip to Minnesota this summer. So y'all stay tuned, pay attention. If you're in the area of Minnesota, it's leaning towards like early part of July. If we can work out the logistics, but it may happen. There may be a clack attack going on inside Ventari's workshop. Like there's going to be stickers everywhere, orange accents everywhere. Like it's just going to be fun. I even went and purchased another 2 big sheets of Clack Shack stickers in preparation for my trip, and I have the smaller, more covert version so that I can stick them in more smaller places. So I'm all ammoed up and ready to go.
Well, you should if you made it up here in mid-June, there's actually a Viking festival here in town. And we're not talking football. We're talking like Nordic Vikings.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll make it in June. June's busy around here. So June's not looking promising. I'm thinking July is going to be the window because then like we got August and September. September we're going to Texas. So
August we're going to Texas.
August we're going to Texas, and then was it September? October, I think, is the Vectric user group thing that's in Nashville, which I may try to go to. Don't know yet. We'll see. But yeah, well, we enjoyed it, guys. If you're new to the show, thanks for stopping by. And like I said, we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you guys next week for sure. I will hopefully have some more content coming out this week. It's been very busy. I've been lots of stuff going on. Jobs have been just flying into the shop, and I don't turn down work if I can help it. And so I've been very busy doing jobs and trying to make some money on some physical property and physical items around here. So,
yeah, I'll hopefully have some things. I got some material in to hopefully finish one of the projects I was doing for around the house. And then be testing those 2 lasers that I finally got working. And yeah, hopefully now this semester's done. We're on a break for a couple weeks before summer session starts up. It'll be a little more conducive. But June's also, as we saw tonight, kind of a wet and weather filled month for us. So July should be better. But yeah, if Clack makes it up here, I'm looking at some options for a get together. We'll try to give people as much advance notice, but trying to find a place that'll be easy to get at. That's maybe family friendly, and we'll try to organize a bit of a gathering for anyone that wants to make it to the area. So
yeah. And look at there. I made one for Steve's minivan.
We're a little litigious up here. They only let you cover up certain parts of the plate, so
it doesn't cover up anything except where the screws are. You should be good.
Maybe. You
should be good. But, yeah, you should be.
Yeah, you got to remember we use the salt up here, so think that my plate may be rusted onto the frame. You might not be able to get those out.
Oh no, I think you'll be fine. We'll make it work out. See, look, let me show you right here. See, trust me, because being that I deal with these type things for years, I made sure that it was like basically it only covers what the screw covers. I kept it as tight as I could. I did add a radius right here because I felt like strength wise, a radius corner would be better than a sharp corner. But yeah, those.
It's a good thing I don't have 4 screws.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I could do a 2-screw version too. But yeah, and the ones that have the see, this one has the clackshack.com, but it's above the tag. Or below the tag, like on the other one, on the Trailblazer, if you'll notice, I did this one above too. But you can actually do below the tag as well if you have room down there. So, yeah. So I got one for you. I'll bring it up if I get to come up in July, and we'll take it and a couple of stickers, and we'll fix the minivan. We'll fix it up. We'll decorate it the way it needs to be decorated.
Yeah. All right. Well, to get cameras up over there.
Yeah. Don's asking, how'd you guys get into testing lasers for laser companies? Lots and lots of videos. Lots and lots of work. Long time. It takes a while.
Yeah. Doing a lot of content on my own equipment and and doing like legit tutorial more type stuff. That's what helped out. But yeah, it's you got to put in the footwork.
Yeah, there ain't no easy button.
Because they're looking for a return on their investment. They've got plenty of people just to straight up test them out. So they want to know that your content's going to be seen by people and such, because they want their stuff seen by people. So.
Yeah. And it helps if you do a live show that lasts 180 episodes.
Goes over by 32 minutes.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, we'll catch y'all next week.
All right. We'll see you then.
Later, guys.